For anything you do in this life, you need to insist on yourself. Let me tell you two reasons I found that will explain why that's important. But first, to begin, have you ever seen a Family Guy clip where the son, Chris, and the rest of the family are in the Titanic or some kind of sinking boat, and they're talking about old classic movies like Godfather and other related movies. And I think Peter says, "Yeah, I never got into them. I never watched it. I don't get the hype." Something along those lines. I could be mistaken. And then Chris responds with aggravation. How could you not have watched these? These are classics. Everybody must watch them. Excuse me. The nights are getting later and the mornings are getting earlier. Welcome to school. Yes. So Chris responds, criticizing him for not having watched the movie and not appraising the movie for its greatness. And then Peter says, "Nah, it insists on itself." I think this is Peter. I could totally be mistaken, but Peter says it insists on itself. And there wasn't real substance to it outside of what it did for itself in its presentation. And as you can see, it worked. The rest of the family appreciated the movies. Even if they weren't alive at the time they came out, they know the reputation and the legacy. And that essentially sold the movie, it having insisted on itself. Whether that's the case or not, obviously it's a legendary movie, but it's a lesson we can take into our own lives. So yesterday I was at a cheer orientation. I said this in one of my videos, but it was actually a different one. We have a few. The one I was talking about in the other video was for my group as exchange students, and this one was for the whole school. And this one was like 4 hours of cheering. And at the end, a girl came up to me. She was Korean. She was from another group, and started talking to me. And I didn't think twice about it, right? But then later, I was like, wow, she was very not approachable. She was very approaching, very natural when she approached, and started speaking. Just, "Oh, where are you from?" Or, "Yeah, where are you from?" And I kind of regret, I do regret not having continued speaking to her, continue our conversation. But truthfully, bro, it was 4 hours. I was sweating balls. I probably smelled a little bad. My mouth was so dry, bro. I was just thinking about water. All that to say is she's very nice. And she is proof. She's affirmation. She is the study that affirms the theory that if you insist on yourself, you had nothing to worry about. Because she just came up, wouldn't matter it would matter what she had said. But she was so natural in coming up. And obviously, it's a different event, it's an orientation, and we're all talking to a lot of people. But she insisted on herself when she came up. And that leads us to the first benefit, which is confidence attracts. Especially when you're in a group of friends. Sometimes you worry, like, oh, maybe these friends are too good for me. Once you start thinking that, maybe they are, dude. There's no reason for you to think they're too good for you. Because you're a human. You're in the piece. If there's a puzzle, I freaking love puzzles. I don't know why I talk about them as metaphors so often. It's pretty cliche. Simple puzzle, 20-piece puzzle. One of the ones you get from Dollar Tree and you plug in, you finish within a minute. And it's like, oh yeah, this is one of the things you get your 3-year-old for Christmas. I don't have a 3-year-old. I have a 2-year-old. Just joking. And one of the pieces was not confident, so it shrunk a little because it didn't believe it could go there, or kept popping out. What the heck are you going to do then? You're going to take it out, try to find a different place to put it. And when you realize that's the place it's supposed to go, you're going to be like, yo, this piece sucks, bro. And then this whole puzzle sucks. Confidence attracts. Confidence is the cohesive material that ties together the group that you're in, your family that you're in. And it's hard to have confidence. So in this video, I'm not trying to tell you, first and foremost, in this video, there's only 2 people watching. So most of these videos are just for myself. But I do not want to tell you, I couldn't tell you how to have confidence within this 20, 15-minute video. What I'm trying to tell you here is that it's worth it to learn and explore. All you have to do is start insisting on yourself. You know, you can't have confidence by snapping your fingers, but you can insist on yourself before you snap on your fingers. My name is Patrick Sullivan. Honestly, bro, I don't know why I said bro, I gotta change that. When you wake up, look in the mirror and say who you are. Start manifesting who you are. I could care less about what people say manifestation does. Manifestation, you can just think about it right here with me, person to person. Let's walk through this. I wake up. 2 people, they wake up. One goes straight to their phone, Instagram. I don't know if people do this, because I'm sure people do wake up and go on Instagram or something, and just to wake up, they have to scroll through some reels, which is not real at all. And the other person wakes up, brushes their teeth, and after they brush their teeth, they look in the mirror and they say, I'm Patrick Scribes. I'm a leader. I'm an innovator. I'm an educator. I will help lead this generation to a better, brighter future. Let's make humans human again. Come on, dude. You wake up and you say your mission. Not only do you declare your mission, but you repeat it aloud to yourself in confidence. Which of those 2 people are more likely to reach their goals? I could care less if the first person's IQ was 130 and the second's was 80. Which isn't true. My IQ is actually 75. No, just joking. And dang, that joke really ruined it. So I'll just skip to the second reason why you must insist on yourself, which ties into looking in the mirror, reaffirming who you are. And that is, you're in a personal relationship with yourself. So insisting on yourself reduces the possibility of depression. I'm not talking about clinical diagnosed depression here, something that may stem from a traumatic event or something that is just related to the way your brain is born. That's very unfortunate. And it's really not fair at all that some people, they can just be born into this world and not have the ability or a reduced capacity for feeling happiness and avoiding sadness and melancholy. That's the way it is, right? That's the way it is, but it is very unfortunate. And then sometimes you have to whatever. I'm talking about insisting on yourself reduces the chance of societal depression. And by that, I mean depression that we see in the modern day. People, they're like, oh, I'm so depressed. I'm sad. Why are you scrolling on TikTok for 3 hours? Where's your passion? Who even are you? If you devote your time, yourself, your higher self, is not going to take yourself seriously. Let's think of it this way, because this absolutely did change the way I speak about things. And I realize now when I'm saying that, that's an AI freaking... This changes everything. One of those retention hacks. But legitimately, this changed everything. And I say it a lot. You are in a relationship with yourself. You're in a relationship with yourself. So if you say, I'm going to the gym tomorrow, and you don't go to the gym tomorrow, imagine you say to your partner, I'm going to take you out to dinner tomorrow, and you don't take her or him, whoever, or them, whoever you are, out to dinner tomorrow. What do you think is going to happen, bro? The other person is going to be upset. There's going to be a strain in the relationship. And that's the same case that happens when you try to level up and you lie to yourself. It's tough because then you could be like, oh, I'll try to go to the gym tomorrow. And then you don't. So it's different. You give yourself some leeway. But you're not insisting on yourself either. So you have to insist on yourself and back it up. And what insisting on yourself does is give you the confidence. It creates the pathways in your brain for you to make it as easy as possible to do the things you want to get done. You know you need to get done. Example. No example. I couldn't come up with one in time. I was trying to think of one in school. Example. You want to learn a language. You want to learn Polish. Po polsku. And I got it finally after 30, 40 seconds. You want to learn Polish. And you go to Poland. Poland is one of the hardest languages to learn in the world. I think it might be the hardest Roman-based language, even though there are like 5 extra letters stacked on top of the typical Roman, right? Roman alphabet? Latin alphabet, excuse me. Frick, I'm tired. Latin alphabet. And you make your mission. I want to go to Poland. I want to live in Poland. So you start studying, you start learning, blah, 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 blah. And you go to Poland and you're ordering your first thing and you're like, poproszę kawę, poproszę kawę. You did all that work and you can't insist on yourself. Who cares if you say it wrong? I was in Korean class the other day and they're like, where are you from? To everybody. And my teacher only speaks Korean, which is wonderful. Really lovely, which is great. I think that's the way it should be done. And she's asking all these people, where are you from? I didn't know what that meant. I don't think most people knew what they meant. But then they'd be like, Migu, Migu. And I was like, okay, that's got to be America. I looked it up, America. She asked me, where are you from? And I was like, Megu. I said it totally wrong. And I totally embarrassed myself in front of the class. And she was like, where? Huh? Megu? Megu? And so now I know where I'm from. And also, to the outside, I made myself seem more foolish. Because who's this freaking idiot that just doesn't know where he's from? Magu. But I was like, okay, I really just said, just insist on yourself. Even if you're wrong, it's not like you know any more Korean than you would have, right? You know the same amount of Korean no matter the response to what you get. So have confidence in your admission of where you're from and see where that gets you. And it worked out. I also spoke with the professor after about it. And she was like, yeah, Patrick, you hate your country, which was fun. So it's worth it. People, they laugh at that. It's because they all have tension in them. We're all going through the same things where we're nervous. We're in a new environment. This teacher is speaking Korean, and I don't even know how to say 감사합니다. I don't even know how to say thank you. So that's why everybody's on their heels. And so if you insist on yourself, even if you're wrong, you feel better about yourself because you were just confident in what you did and you didn't associate your attempts with the loss. You associated what you had to do with what was done and your ability to match that effort. And also what happened is that the rest of the classroom felt better. Even if it was at my expense, it said, oh, okay, this guy also, he doesn't know Korean. Or maybe, oh, this guy's Korean's not good, so I will be fine in this class. So, twofold effect. Let me remind you, 2 reasons to insist on yourself. 1, confidence attracts. And 2, it reduces the chances of you getting modern societal depression. Because you're in a relationship with yourself. You're also in a relationship with every person you meet. Even if you meet them for 10 seconds, you form a relationship with them. A relationship is just a term we use to coin the association that connects 2 individuals. So, strangers, that's the relationship between you two. What's your relationship? Oh, we're just strangers. What's your relationship? We're friends. So every person has that relationship. And confidence and insisting on yourself strengthens that relationship. But most importantly, it strengthens the bond that you have with yourself. So there was a lot of filler points, but I'm getting used to speaking in front of the camera. I will see you two, probably 0.8 of you made it this far, in another video. Peace.